back to the lake. Frank and Maxie are in Watson,
where it looks like you guys are having a wonderful time.
Yeah, indeed. Beautiful day.
The weather has been perfect. I mentioned before Lac Qui Parle Lake behind us. Back in the 70s and 80s, this was where you went to hunt. I remember one night, Frank, playing a high school football game, and then my buddy Steve Haybison and I stayed up all night till 3 in the morning, drove out here, and you draw for a blind so you could get a blind so you could go hunt geese the next day.
That popular.
It was that popular, and you'd go hours just to try to shoot one goose back in the day.
My goodness. That's interesting, especially even more interesting because really this area, years ago, was not the hunting mecca that it is today.
Back in the 1958s, Canada geese were rare. And if you were a hunter and you actually bagged a Canada goose, you probably made the front page of your local paper.
That's why the Lac Qui Parle State Game Refuge was started, to help boost the goose population.
And there was really two components to the mission, if you will. Number one was to restore giant Canada geese back to Minnesota. And then number two would be a migratory stopover for geese that were coming out of Canada.
The mission worked, but it didn't happen overnight. It started with a flock of game farm geese they used as decoys, and then things got interesting.
And they also had an old hayloft, and during the fall migration, a gentleman would sit up on top of that hayloft, and he actually had a record player, and if he saw a bunch of geese or a flock of geese moving down the river valley, he put on a record player of goose vocalization, just hoping that those geese would stop here and land at Lac Qui Parle.
The first year, they had about 100 geese land in the area, but by the early 1960s, nearly 5,000 geese were stopping.
Back in the 60s, 70s, and even the early 80s, Lac Qui Parle was one of the few places in Minnesota you could hunt Canada geese.
And the hunters came out in big numbers, about 300 a day for the 40-day season. In fact, today, you'll still find public blinds all over the wildlife area.
We put in benches, gun racks, you got roofs that you can open and close, you can hunker down, you're all the wind.
Goose hunting may still be the big draw, but it's not the only thing this area has to offer.
So I always tell hunters, come out here and make it a package trip. You can come out here, goose hunt in the morning. As soon as you're done goose hunting, take your dog or go out and chase pheasants for the rest of the day. If in the evening you want to be out deer hunting, we have that opportunity.
Yeah, and they have the opportunity to fish as well. It's a real mecca for sportsmanship and outdoors. And if you like to camp, you can camp here at Lac Qui Parle as well. They even have some cabins. So pretty interesting evolution of the hunting.
It is. And people say, well, I see geese everywhere, but you didn't back in the 70s and 80s. The geese that came through here and come through here come from Canada, so they're a migrating bird as opposed to the ones that now live in the Twin Cities and occupy the golf courses so much. Speaking of hunting, though, we're going hunting for carp coming up at 6.
Bow fishing, that's where we were earlier, and it's very interesting. You're going to want to see that at 6 o'clock for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, did I hear correct? So will you guys be camping out there then? Did I hear that?
No.
No, you're not going to.
No.
Amelia's
We
still
leave
a
the
little
camping
upset.
to the experts,
Yeah,
you
right.
and Angela.
Yeah, and the last spot was taken.
Oh, sure.
They'd be
Okay.
great at hunting too, we decided. Yeah, thank you guys. We'll see you again at 6.